I'm the founder of We solve the data gap in waste because everyone knows the problem is not the waste itself, it's the lack of visibility around it, the lack of traceability around it, or even the accountability around it. Right? And that's the issue we solve by creating systems that give you ownership of your waste. And then using the systems, we give you actionable data and turn that data into reduction products, essentially making sure anything that you generate does not end up in the landfill. Most of the waste generated in the world goes down from the north to the poorer south, where there's poorer waste management things. Look at Chile, where they have one of the biggest landfills for clothes. I think Africa and India are the second biggest markets for e-waste. That is, again, like I said, a psychology problem where we have to question in terms of, do we need certain things in our life? When we tell people how much waste they're generating, the idea is once you know how much waste you're generating, there's a thought process. Oh, 50 kgs of plastic in this month? Oh my God, you don't actually think when you're ordering food, when you're buying things, you don't actually think. But when you see a number come up and say 50 kgs of plastic was generated by your household or by your company in this last month, which is equal to, for example, I say plastic, but it can be e-waste, it can be any other waste, right? But let's say 50 kg of specific material was used. That automatically, and we do a comparative thing. Imagine I tell you this is how much waste, and the equivalence of this is, for example, 3 Burj Khalifas or one big floor of Burj Khalifa. For example, that visual representation automatically makes you think that is a lot. I think that's the thought process. I think it's a big question, right? There's corporates are a big part of this issue as well. One of my best examples that I give out to people is from a contamination perspective is I ask them, have you ever cleaned dishes in your life? Like, yes, of course you have. I'm like, when you touch your own soggy food and it's the most disgusting feeling ever because you're like, oh my God, this is sludgy. I don't want to touch it.
Yes.
Now imagine someone else is doing this for huge amounts of waste and they're touching someone else's waste. How would that make you feel? And I think that's when it goes, oh my God, that's horrible. Like, I don't want someone else to do this. The education also needs to be changed, and the only way education gets changed is that there are data systems in place. Recycling or waste is still taught the same way in school that it was taught to me when I was in school. So nothing's changed in the last 18 years that I've actually left school. It's taught the same way to students, right? Oh, you should recycle, it's the best, it saves the environment, it saves this. Yeah, great, we all know this. Teach me or show me how it's done and how much effort it takes for this to happen and where then I can help to improve these conversations.
What if I told you that preventing waste is actually more important than recycling, and that the popular 4-in-1 bin system everyone talks about might not be the solution we think it is? I'm thrilled to introduce you to Jaskaran Singh, the visionary founder of a company that's completely transforming how we think about waste management. Jaskaran didn't just start another recycling company. He created something extraordinary that uses data to uncover waste patterns and drive meaningful change. From tackling the tricky question of whether paper cups with plastic lining can actually be recycled to sharing simple daily hacks that make sustainable living effortless, this conversation is packed with insights that will change how you see waste forever. Get ready to discover how technology is revolutionizing waste management infrastructure and learn practical tips you can implement today. This is one episode you absolutely cannot miss. Hi, Jess. Welcome to the Eco Sheroes Podcast. I'm looking forward to an engaging and very informative conversation with you today. Before we start, it would be great if you could briefly introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you so much, Pallavi, for actually for inviting me to a Shiro's podcast, right? Because
Yeah, this is a
right,
special edition for the Eco Heroes.
Eco Heroes. No, but thank you so much for inviting me. It's a good conversation, right? A quick summary. So my name's Jaskaran. I am born and raised in the UAE, right? So this is where I land and I actually go home. Oh, I'm home. I I've I've seen this country grow from 0 to 100 over the past couple of years,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
And
sure
for
there's a
me,
drastic change, right? From
oh man, from my childhood to what I see now, to see what the kids see now, it's insane. It's insane. and and I think that's the best part about this country, right? Well, and it's the opportunities this country gives you, and this is where I come into play. I think I'm the founder of which is a waste insight and circularity platform, right? What we do is we solve the data gap in waste, because everyone knows the problem is not the waste itself, right? It's the lack of visibility around it, the lack of traceability around it, or even the accountability around it, right? And that's the issue we solve by creating systems that give you ownership of your waste, right? And then using the systems, we give you actionable data and turn that data into reduction products, essentially making sure anything that you generate does not end up in the landfill, either here or to our best control in any other landfill in other countries as well. Right? That's what we do.
Nice, nice. So, yeah, what uh obviously you are the founder of So what inspired you to start Was there a specific moment or
So,
experience that made you realize the need to take action in the field of waste management and recycling?
so this is like small parts coming together, right? I think the sustainability part of it started when I was about 10. And you know, when you have these school fairs, and my mum forgot that she was supposed to buy me stuff from you buy these pencils, and she's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're supposed to go sell this. She forgot that she was supposed to do this, and on the day or the day before of the actual fair, as you do with Indian mums, they have a lot of stuff at home.
Of course.
So yeah, so my mum just picked up everything that she could find that was in decent shape, tape recorders, because at that point you used to have CD players as well.
Oh, yeah.
So my mum set up those CD players, like just go sell these. And my mum, no one's gonna buy them. And she's like, no, just go sell them, enjoy. Turns out people actually bought this, and I think that's when the the bug kind of just stuck in, right? So I've always been in and around the specific industry.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I left my university and I came here, I did I think a job for like 6 months, and I'm like, I can't do this, and I went straight into an energy auditing company without any experience,
Ah,
without any sort of inclination as to what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to open an energy auditing company. I'll audit companies or buildings to find out where the energy is wasted, right? This was about 4 years ago, before or 3 years ago, before the boom of energy efficiency came in, right? So people weren't ready for this conversation. Now everyone's talking about IoT, but I was talking about IoT before then as well. No one was ready for this conversation. Uh, so obviously, I failed. Um, I kept trying to
so
make it work,
you
but I failed.
started your own company or you joined an energy company?
No. I started
Oh,
my own company
lovely.
saying, yeah, I was like, I remember driving down on the Abu Dhabi highway and thinking, looking at a building again, lack of experience. So it's looking at a building and going, why don't we just have solar panels on these buildings? Like, there's so much
Yeah.
sun in this building. Again, no, I didn't know how this works. I didn't know what the thought process was. It just like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. Got in the industry, learning curve, no sales experience, no marketing experience. So you struggle, right? You struggle. We did struggle for 3 years. Eventually, my then girlfriend, now wife, her dad came up to me and said, "Hey, listen, I have a compact machine from France.
Mhm.
Why don't you sell it?" And I'm like, well, why not? Extra money in the business. Why not? Tried selling this machine. We did sell a few pieces, but the conversation kept going back to what happens to the waste after. So the compact machine, what it did was it compacts the waste into something really small,
Uh-huh. Okay.
like a small hockey puck essentially. So it just compacts your waste and makes it into a hockey puck, right?
Right.
And which is great space allocation, less pickups, all of this. But the question was, hey, what are you guys doing with the waste afterwards? And I
Mm.
think that question kind of stuck with me. And once you start researching, it's like Alice going down the rabbit hole, right? Because
Yes.
you start questioning everything. You start even looking at your own bins in your building and see how they're collected.
True.
Um, at that point, unfortunately, my dad passed away. Right.
Oh,
This
okay.
is
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, look, it's. I mentioned this because it's a critical part of the journey bit, right? When he passed away, like there was a switch in your head which just goes off, right? When you like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just stick to this now, and an obsession was born. That's the word I use. An obsession was born of, can I solve this? And that's literally what it was. So we then I started talking to waste collectors. I know you've seen some of these normal guys driving around in their bikes picking up cardboard. So I even spoke to them, be like, how and why do you guys pick it up? What's the process? What's the price point? Uh, we started as a B2C company initially because it's my personal pain point, right? I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what was happening to my waste, and I had the privilege to be like, you know what, I'm going to build something.
Mm.
Um, and that automatically, as we grew, it shifted because the problem with B2C is you need a lot of money
Yes.
to scale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we I didn't have that luxury of wasting money. So we shifted the model a little bit into a business specific thing. Be like, hey, businesses, are you interested in data? And
Mm-hmm.
then at that point, ESG came into well, ESG was there before, but it came into my viewpoint at that point.
Mm-hmm.
People started talking about ESG, and I started learning more about ESG, right? And then when you look at ESG reports, look at the waste side, look at social, look at governance, look at everything. 50 pages, 100 pages. But look at waste management. It'll be one page, which will
Mm.
say we've recycled X amount of thing, we've done this much, and that's it.
Mm.
No question about okay, what happens to the waste after? And these questions were the things that I was trying to answer as I grew, or as I kept going, was what happens to the waste after,
Mm-hmm.
and what can we do as individuals, as companies, and that was the journey point of how we started. And where
Great.
we are currently as a data company is just this is that obsession caused by something that I did 10 years ago. Well, sorry, at the age of 10,
Mm.
where people were interested in buying secondhand products.
Mm.
And since then, it's always been, I think it's a personal thing as well. I don't think I've bought a new laptop ever. I think I've always got hand-me-downs from my dad.
Wonderful.
Even my dad's phones, the only time I would get a new phone is when he would buy a new phone and I would use his older one. So
Yeah.
it's always been like this, where what you have should be enough, and what you have, and if you waste it, it should be wasted, not wasted, but it should be managed properly.
Yes.
And that is the core of what we do as we essentially.
Wonderful. So, how, if I may ask, how when did
Yeah.
you start Tree? Like, how long has it been?
So I just renewed my license for the third time this year. Right. So technically it's been 3 years. So we are in our third year now. But I think we started doing the research bit a year before that. So just around COVID times is when we were actually talking to people, talking to customers, trying to find out if, hey, is my pain point just me or other people have the
Mm.
same pain point, right? Which is unfortunately, which is what I said earlier, the accountability part is what was lacking here.
True.
And we're like, all right, cool. That might be very interesting to set something up.
That's wonderful. I mean, kudos to you to take such a big step right in the beginning of your career. It really takes courage to do so. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. My parents didn't agree, but but they were like, you know what, try. Let's see.
Try.
Let's see if
Yeah,
it works. Give
that's
yourself a
nice.
couple
They
of years, see if it
supported you.
works.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that was a big. I think that was a big thing. If they didn't, then I don't know if I would have pushed as much.
True, true. Lovely. Great. Very nice. So, from our conversation before, I totally agree your perspective that recycling is not enough. So, as per my research, the recycling system is not very efficient yet for recycling all kinds of waste. So, how do you think can we shift our focus to prevent waste creation in the first place rather than just managing waste after it's generated? As you also mentioned that we need to be have that mindset of being happy with like what we have, but still like for people to to probably some guideline of how we can focus on that.
So that's a big question, right? Because it essentially comes down to human psychology
Yeah.
of you know, when they say grass is not always green on the other side. I think this is very true in this part of the conversation, right? Which is from a waste to stop the waste from being generated in the first place.
Mm.
It's a chicken and egg situation, right?
Yes.
Um, the problem with waste, I've said this before, the problem with waste is it becomes someone else's responsibility as soon as it leaves your eyesight.
Yes.
And that is one of the bigger problems where you don't actually understand what your impact is
Hmm.
when you generate waste, right? So
True.
most of the waste generated in the world goes down from the north to the south, right, to the poorer south, where there's
Hmm.
poorer waste management things. Look at Chile, where they have one of the biggest landfills for clothes.
Hmm.
Uh, I think Africa and India are the second biggest markets for e-waste, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
that is, again, like I said, a psychology problem where we have to question in terms of do we need certain things in our life, right?
Yeah.
And it's as the world grows, as you have more access to technology, and you can say, I can sit in India, for example,
Hmm.
and know how to act like someone from New York because I have so much information in my hand.
Yes.
And because you see this, the comparison thing comes in, and be like, oh, I should be here, I should be here, I should be here.
Hmm.
So I think it's a very tricky question to answer. How do you stop the change the mindset bit? I think what I've learned over the last 4 years is you can do what you want to do, right? If you want to buy something, buy something.
Hmm.
If you want to buy more food, buy more electronics, do this, but just make sure that you don't waste its potential, right?
Hmm.
Whatever that is, if it's food, if it's electronics, just don't waste it, right? So there's always a concept of someone else can use what you're using right now. So just make sure that it gets into that path rather than just saying, "Oh, I'm going to put it in a bin and it's going to get recycled." Right? I know you mentioned recycling as a thing. We've discussed this before as well,
Yeah.
where I don't think recycling is the solution. It is
Hmm.
part of an ecosystem, especially when um, recycling was made at a time where some of this technology wasn't available. Now the
Hmm.
technology is improved, so recycling is also improved, right? But the problem with recycling, and this is one of the things I've also learned as a on the journey, is it downgrades the quality of the actual product, right?
Hmm.
That's the word of recycle. That's the entire
Actually, it
terminology
should be
behind recycling.
downcycling, I think.
That is the exact correct term for when you use the word recycling.
Right.
The problem with recycling, because exactly what you're doing, you're downcycling it, right? You're using virgin material, mixing it, and then
Hmm.
essentially creating something new. So what that does is it does not hit the root of the problem, which is at some point we need to close the tap. We need to switch
Yes.
the tap off.
Hmm.
Um, that's a big question. I think, yeah, this is where again data comes into play as well, right?
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of you can't change what you can't measure.
Yeah.
Even if you're at a gym, you want to lose weight, you need to know what calories you're eating and how many calories are going out, right? It's the
Right.
same thing with data, right? So the things that we do, for example, when we tell people how much waste they're generating, the idea is once you know how much waste you're generating, and there's a thought process. Oh, 50 kgs of plastic in this month. Oh my God, you don't
Hmm.
actually think when you're ordering food,
True.
when you're buying things, you don't actually think. But when you see a number come up and say 50 kgs of plastic was generated by your household or by your company in this last month, which is equal to, for example, I say plastic, but it can be e-waste, it can be any other waste, right?
Right.
But let's say 50 kg of specific material was used. That automatically, and we do a comparative thing. Imagine I tell you this is how much waste, and the equivalence of this is having, for example, three Burj Khalifas or one big
Hmm.
floor of Burj Khalifa. For example, that visual representation automatically makes you think that is a lot. I think that's the thought process. I think it's a big question, right? There's corporates are a big part of this issue as well because
Yeah.
some of the big corporates, which I'm not going to name, just in case your podcast gets flagged, I don't want to name them, but they're very obvious names which create majority of the mess that we are in.
Yes. Yes.
It's an unfortunate kind of circle that we tend to push our thought processor on individual customers.
Mm.
Individual customers will always change. If
Yeah,
you go to the supermarket and you only see sustainable products, right? You will only buy sustainable products,
true.
right? You will
Yeah,
not think, oh my God, I need to buy something cheaper or I need to buy this because that's there.
totally agree.
It's a massive psychological question, right? In terms of how do we change it. But I think conversations
And I,
like
I think
you,
I
like
like your point that don't waste the potential of what you buy. That's so important, right? Now, especially in the privileged society, we tend to not use things till it is fully utilized and just discard things before even its entire utility is over. So that kind of culture probably, as you said, that was true. We don't need, if we don't, I mean, we utilize it fully before whatever, before discarding it, I think that'll help a lot, right?
yeah, I think the also the exactly what you said, the questions that you can ask while buying certain
Mm,
things are also labeled around. There's a question of ownership as well, right? We are
mm.
part of the world now where everyone wants to own things. It's
Yes.
it's it's not imperative. I think if you buy a car or if you own a car, I think it stays parked for 90% of the time that you own the car, right? A piece of cloth, I think, is worn once for every
Mm.
8 times that it's ignored. It's there are stats like this where
Yes.
majority of the ownership that you have, you
Yeah,
don't use 90% of the times,
true.
right? So then you have to question is if there's a possibility of renting this or reusing this or making
Mm.
sure we like you said, the community part of the conversation as well. So within the community, how you guys push some of the conversation and be like, hey, listen, I have this for you. You don't have to buy this specifically. That reduces waste. Again, this becomes an individual choice, but this is also something that we push with corporates. There are
Yeah.
businesses now that do a rental conversation. Essentially, what we do with our data part of the conversation as well, right? So once we know what ends up in our bin in the first place,
Mm.
if it ends up in the bin, we obviously recycle it, but we go back to the client and then have a conversation about, hey, you guys can change you can improve your impact that you're currently having by changing your vendor and not buying this, right?
Mm.
So
Correct.
I'll give you a quick example. Paper cups, right?
Yeah.
If
Mm.
they have a small PE lining or a PP lining at the
Yes.
bottom to hold hot liquid. A lot of people don't know this and they go, oh,
Mm.
we're going to put this in paper recycling.
Yeah.
Now, in most parts, when the waste management industry is good,
Mm.
they will end up in the right bin. But
Okay. But
in
can
where
they
there's
be
poor,
recycled? I'm sorry
so
to.
theoretically, yes. Theoretically, a lot of things that we currently use in our world
Mm-hmm.
can be recycled, right?
Okay.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Mm.
Theoretically, it can
Mm-hmm.
be recycled.
Mm.
But then the problem with recycling becomes there's a massive downstream cost of managing this as well, right?
Ah.
So the collector has his own cost of the thing. There's a bit this one of the big misconceptions about waste is, oh, you make so much money from selling your waste onwards, because you recycle it and you do this. But that's not true. But that's, if you do from an economics point of view, let's say you get 50 tons and an average price is 1,000 dirhams, for example. So you're making
Correct.
50,000 dirhams for that particular 50 tons of waste that you've collected.
Correct.
But what people don't realize is the amount of manpower that you need to put in to
Yeah.
collect this, the transportation cost that you need to put in to collect this, and then cleaning it out as well, because a lot of companies
Mm-hmm.
will reject a bale or waste if it
Mm-hmm.
if it looks too contaminated, because it means more work for them. So it
Oh.
ends up in the incineration part of the conversation rather than the recycling part,
Oh.
right?
Okay.
So that question around recycling in general or waste in general
Mm.
is that's one of the reasons why it is important to have that conversation about, do I really need something?
True.
But yeah, that is the tricky part of waste in general.
Yeah. Totally agree. So, coming to your
Yes.
platform focuses on making the process of recycling seamless and efficient. So, could you walk us through how works and how it empowers individuals and organizations to tackle waste efficiently?
I have repeated this consistently over the past 4 years. Systems make habits, right? So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
poor your systems,
Hmm.
the worse your habits get, right?
Agree.
Again, I'm using weight examples because that's what I did when I was trying to lose weight, right? So if you don't want to eat chocolate, first you don't buy the chocolate, right?
Mm.
But if you buy the chocolate, put it in the back of your fridge. So
Yeah,
then you have to put more of an effort to get to the thing. Your brain automatically goes, I don't want this anymore. It's too
true.
much of an effort, right? So we try to first take that conversation in and try to create systems where it's easy for you. Right. So we
Mm.
have home collections, which we do for individuals.
Okay.
We have community setups for specific communities so that they can drop it in there. But because we give consistent feedback,
Mm-hmm.
most of the waste that we collect is actually clean, or we've even said no to some customers because they've consistently been very
Uh,
they've contaminated the waste, right? So we've actually said, all right, we're not going to work with you. There are other vendors or there are other solution providers that you can go to that will take
okay.
this waste, right? So that accountability kind of fits into the thing. From a company's perspective, we track using QR codes, there's RFIDs, there's IoT system that we use as well.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially to set up systems within a workspace.
Okay.
So it's not one solution fits all, right?
Yeah.
I get annoyed. It's a pet peeve when people come up to me and say, "Oh, I'll give you a 4-in-1 bin." 4-in-1 bin is awesome, but
Uh-huh.
I want to get to the root of the problem. So we do workshops first initially to find out where this company lands in the
Can
spectrum
I
of understanding waste. Yeah,
just
yeah,
for the
please.
audience to understand what is 4-in-1 bin?
You know, when you get those, if you go into a mall and you see these bins that
Ah,
are there, these metal
the
bins,
different
it's
segregation. Okay,
different
okay.
segregated
Ah,
bins
yes,
where
yes.
they say general waste, plastic,
Yeah,
paper, or
metal.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And
Hmm.
if you go look at these bins, most of the time they're always mixed,
Yes,
right? They're
yes.
always mixed
True.
because the thought process is it's a bin. So when you're
Yes.
walking,
You're
you
just
don't you don't see. So you don't want to waste time thinking, is this plastic? Can I throw this in here? Is this metal?
Mm.
Can I throw this in here? So for your initial thought process, you know what? I'm just going to dump it.
And I think many
So
of them even don't bother if to see if the plastic is contaminated. So they must just have had some food from a plastic container and they throw it in the plastic
throw in them. Yeah,
bin,
yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah.
So this is so for me that is a huge problem with when it comes to waste, right? So because so it's not one so we do a analysis first of where the company is.
Okay.
So we do a workshop to understand. So what level are you? Are you guys experts? Are you guys have a bit more knowledge? Do we need to educate you in terms of what
Hmm.
and how it happens? Then one of my best examples that I give out to people is from a contamination perspective is I ask them, do you clean? Have you ever cleaned dishes in your life? Like, yes, of course you have. I'm like, when you touch your own soggy food, and
Hmm.
it's the most disgusting feeling ever because you're like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
sludgy. I don't want to touch it. Now
Yes.
imagine someone else is doing this for huge amounts of waste, and they're touching someone else's waste,
Hmm.
right? How would that make you feel? And I think that's when it goes, oh shit, sorry. Oh my god, that's horrible. Like, I don't want someone else to do this. Once we create a baseline, then we set up systems for them, right? So the systems depend on the company. So some companies have 2 bins. Like one of the things that we do is remove personal bins under employees' desks because the habit of chucking anything that you
Um,
eat at a desk is there.
yeah.
Um, so we build your systems according to your needs, right? And
Yeah.
then we go through each bag and each bin once it comes to our warehouse.
Hmm.
It's tracked. The data is inputted into the system or the platform,
Mm-hmm.
and that creates an eco score. And that creates an eco score that we've come up with. The eco score is based on carbon footprint of the waste
Okay.
in terms of managing so how much carbon footprint are you generating or
Hmm.
wasting or using to recycle or
Mm-hmm.
reuse or reproduce this specific waste.
Right.
And that eco score, the aim of the eco score is to stay as close to zero as possible. So contamination increases the score by 50%.
Okay.
If the waste is mixed, it
Hmm.
increases it by 25%,
Okay.
right? So
Hmm.
so it goes 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Let's say you have one bad contamination month, it'll go up to 1.2, right?
Hmm.
So then our team will then get in touch with you. Our team will then get in touch with you and be like, hey, what happened here for this specific month? Oh, we
Right.
had an event. Okay, next time you
Ah.
have an event, call us. We will set up systems so that you guys can continue zero point 0.3 range. Because, like I said, recycling is not the only solution. What we want is we want them to come in and say, how can we change what goes into a bin in the first place?
True.
Right? And that's where the impact. That's how we work. And then what happens is we take that waste, we track it. We work with specific vendors.
Hmm.
So the PET bottles, for example, we work with someone that converts it back into PET bottles and nothing else,
Okay.
because that's the best solution for PET
Yes.
bottles.
Yes. Not
Besides not using them,
fabric or, all
yeah,
this.
I will not say that because I don't want to be a part of some of that conversation. But I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan because that's kicking the can down the road.
absolutely. I
Um,
agree.
and what happens is that waste, either then when they convert it back into granules. So
Hmm.
the for our listeners, granules is the smaller byproduct that you get once plastic has been melted and made
Right.
into a new, right? This is what manufacturers use. So if it's cardboard, plastic, metal, doesn't matter. It's made into a final product. What we
Hmm.
do is we then take the final product, either we take it back and give
Hmm.
it back to the company where they can then make their own products from the thing, if it's a
Okay.
manufacturing industry. So
Okay.
creating a circular
Yeah.
conversation,
Hmm.
or we use it and we make it into products and
Mm-hmm.
replace some of the harder things in the company. So, for example, stages that you go in events, these massive events that you go to, and these
Yeah,
podiums
yeah.
are there,
Yes.
and these podiums are one-time use. They're
Yes.
MDF laminated and then they throw it away.
Right.
So we now replaced one of the company's stage with our waste material.
Nice.
Essentially, makes it look nice. And what they do is it's like a Lego set. Take it off, you can put it back in, and then they store it. So essentially, you're saving money, and
Hmm.
you're increasing your impact of waste essentially, and you're reducing your overall buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell kind of culture.
Absolutely.
So
Hmm.
yeah, and that is what we do. We then have all we. I think we have rewards. We have rewards in the system as well to incentivize people, but the rewards are not buy this and you'll get this, right? Like, oh, go
Yeah.
spend 25 dirhams at Carrefour and get 50 dirhams off or something like this. It's not like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's sponsor a TNR, which is trap neutered release for kittens, or sponsor
Nice. Very nice.
so it's more service based options
Mm-hmm.
where where you can use your money for actual work rather than buying more stuff.
Yeah, to make a difference in society. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
It's
mean,
hard
because
work,
it's
but
not
thank you.
again fueling consumerism by,
That
giving
is the biggest
some more
problem.
rewards, buy something from here, buy something from
Buy
there.
something from there. So we have buy something. We
Hmm.
have buy something, but again, very specific products, right? So
Okay.
for example, buy this eco-friendly cleaning equipment, for example.
Right.
And it's 100 dirhams. With us, once you get to 25, you can withdraw cash. So you'll be like, oh, cool. Now you can use your 25 dirhams to get 25 dirham discount on that eco-friendly product,
Right.
rather than like you said, rather than
That's
pushing
great. Yeah.
consumers.
Yeah, yeah. That's nice. Really nice. I like
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
Yeah. So when you said you provide for home, I mean individuals as well as businesses. So when it comes to individuals, how does it work? Like, do you educate them as well? Are there any limitations to what they can recycle or, you know?
So
Um,
I think it becomes harder to reach individuals from a singular point of view, right? So like you said, again, like I said, there's different thought processes. You, Pallavi, who's in the industry, knows ABCD and what's going to happen. Versus someone who doesn't know anything, they
yeah.
they will chuck everything in it. So it becomes hard to manage some of that conversation. So then this is where it's more of a tactical approach. We use content to kind of get out there, right? So now it's been a recent shift. So you'll see over the next 6 months a lot more content being created for specific archetypes of people, right? So we've
Mm,
created an archetype and we're like, okay, this is what this person is doing. We are then going to structure the content in a way which essentially targets them from an education perspective, right? So there are certain things that we'll talk about. Wishful recycling is one of them, for example, which is you put it in a bin and you wish it gets recycled because it
yeah.
makes you feel good. But in reality, it does not get recycled or cannot be, or it's very hard to recycle because there's no economic benefit to it.
True.
So we then kind of push out and be like, hey guys, this is not something that you can do in the future. I don't know if I should mention this, but that's okay, not a problem. In the future, the thought process is you could scan a product.
Hmm.
What we are trying to build now is you can scan a specific product
Hmm.
and it will tell you if it can be recycled, what's the process behind this, how would it be broken when you put this in? If that bin is not available, where would you put it? If there's a specific company that takes this waste, so you can potentially go drop it off yourself rather than asking someone to come pick it up from your thing.
Nice.
Just making that conversation easier for the individual part of the
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We also do community programs where we set up community bins
Hmm.
within a household, and
Mm-hmm.
then that household reaches out to their friends and families and say, "Look, I have a bin here. Come drop it off." And
Okay.
because we collect it from a bin, we can give you data points as to what's collected, how can you improve it, what can you reduce, and
Right.
then that money is shared within that community
Right.
itself.
Right.
Money that you make from recycles. Not much, but whatever you make, we give it back across to them.
Okay.
Um,
So is this
and
service paid, or is it
it
like
is,
they
it is, it is paid. So
program?
it is paid. It is paid.
It
It
is
is
paid.
paid.
Okay.
It is paid. We've relaunched it recently, where we've dropped the price, right?
Right.
Because now it's not the core business. Initially, when we started off, it was the core business, the B2C.
Mm.
Now, because we have businesses that we work together, that's the core business.
Yeah.
This is more of an extension of how we work, and
Okay.
we want to maximize our impact. So this is why we started with, I think, 25 dirhams now.
Oh,
Um,
per
yeah, so
month.
we've gone very, yeah, 25 dirhams for
Oh,
a month.
wonderful. Okay.
And I mean, you can have, there's a 25 dirham one and there's a 50 dirham package, right? Which is, more pickups and slightly more
Right.
hands-on. But
Okay.
the 25 dirhams is essentially redeemable by our data analysis within month and a half to 2 months.
Wonderful.
Right?
Okay. This is
The
very
reason, again,
affordable, and it really makes your life easy, right? Otherwise, I know I'm collecting, all my plastic waste. I have to drive there. It's sometimes you get lazy. It's like, okay, I need to go and, drop it off. And also, I'm not very sure what happens to that waste. As you are sharing the data, I think it is more reliable that, the efforts we are putting in collecting that waste goes to the right place.
no, that is the thought process. That is exactly what we thought. It's always been about, how can we make it more affordable for people, right? How can we
Hmm.
make it a lot more inclusive rather than just targeting people that can afford to pay a certain amount for the waste to be collected, for recyclables to be collected, right? 25 dirhams is a very reasonable price
Very much, yeah.
for, yeah, for
Where
people to
can
come
where
be like,
can the
oh,
audience find these details? Like if they want
they
to start.
they will be on our website, which is
Okay.
reecycle.app, reecycle.app,
Okay.
or on our Instagram.
Yeah.
I think the official announced date for the relaunch of the B2C part of the thing would be next Monday.
Okay.
Um, right. So
Yeah. I'll link
yeah,
everything in the show notes. Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. But no, but that's the thing for individuals.
Right.
Fingers crossed we get more people having these conversations, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's so much needed, right? Like otherwise, I was reading a statistics that soon landfills will outgrow the human population. You don't want to live in a world where you are, having dump everywhere, having all this garbage surrounded by you. And
Yeah.
it's your own created waste. So it's so irresponsible, right? So if you don't,
It, Well, my go-to thought process has always been, imagine you're walking around and like a gaming thing, it says 300 kgs of waste generated this month, and then
yeah,
like a breakdown, so everyone then can see what you've bought. Would that get people to change, right? And puts everything into perspective,
yes.
in terms of how it's managed, right? So yeah, this is hopefully more conversations from your side,
Yeah,
hopefully with communities and individuals and corporates. Then it becomes more of a policy change. Once policy comes into play, then you have
yeah,
actual, genuine, real change.
true. So you have emphasized the importance of data in waste management. So could you share a story illustrating how data has revealed some surprising insights about our waste patterns and how this knowledge can drive meaningful change?
So you will be surprised as to what actually ends up in a bin in the first place, right? So I think
Mm.
one of the most surprising insights is how people want to do the right thing, right?
Mm.
People want to
Yeah, yeah.
reduce. People want something where they makes them feel good when they're helping them. People want to do this. The problem is more, again, the systems in place, because
Mm.
poor systems, poor habits. That I think that was one of the most, not surprising, but I think that was one of the best things that's come out of
Mm.
this
So they are
conversation.
surprised by their own habits. Like
Oh,
this has
people
contributed.
genuinely get yeah. People genuinely get surprised as to, oh wow, I actually want to do this. I
Mm.
think another surprising thing, well, not surprising, but I think very nice thing that's come out of this is how ingrained some of the kids are, some of the new generation,
Yeah,
how thoughtful they are
very
of
much.
what, again, like I said, bad systems, bad thing. They care so much about this, but because they're part of poor systems, they
Mm.
get pulled into the whole consumerism part of the conversation. Oh, I want a new phone, I want this, I want this. But it's very nice to see how like in tune they are
Mm.
with things like this, with climate, with just
Totally agree.
causes. Another surprising thing, I think, also surprising, people want to change. So this is an example that we had with a company. They had left their pizza box in one of the cardboard boxes that we have for them, right? And theoretically, again, pizza boxes can be reused, can be recycled if they don't have the
Contaminate.
yeah, if they don't have the pizza left over, or
Mm.
these grease left over,
Yeah,
it's manageable, right?
right.
And one of these guys left their pizza crusts in the pizza box as well, so like food,
Oh,
right? Food
okay.
left the food in the thing,
Mm.
and we found the receipt of the
Oh.
pizza with the name in one of the bags, right? So then we put that in the report that went out at the end of the month, saying, this is the guy. We don't call people out; they have to do that themselves,
Right.
right? So we'll be like, hey, look, this was a person. They left this. Ideally, what we want you to do is have a conversation with your employees, saying you can't leave this, and then nothing after that, right? Which
So you didn't
which
get
is
any such
surprising.
case again.
No, we did not. We did not
Wonderful.
get any of that thing because, like I said, this is the surprising part. People, corporates, individuals, doesn't matter,
Hmm.
want the change. It just becomes, it's like a chicken and egg. They want to, but then
Hmm.
they go into the system, and the system obviously pulls them down, and then they also get lazy, like you said,
Yeah.
and like, oh, why should I do this when someone else is already struggling with this, right?
Yeah.
And that becomes like a chicken and an egg
Right. Right.
kind of thing. So, but surprisingly, people, that's the thing, because people want this. People want the data. People want engagement in terms of understanding
Yes.
what happens to their waste.
Yeah. And
It's
I think
just
accountability, as you said, it's very important. That keeps you in track. Like it doesn't let you get diverted or become lazy. Uh,
become lazy, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That I think those are the surprising things. I think we did. I know it was summer. I know a lot of people weren't there, but we did 3 months of no contamination,
Hmm.
zero contamination for 3 months straight in the summer. Again, I take this with a pinch of salt because less people, less work.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can achieve this with all the corporates that we currently have, 13, 14 corporates that we have, and the number of individuals that we have, if we've achieved this, that means if there's something there. That means it can be done. It just
Hmm.
needs just a bit more support from the surroundings, and
Yeah.
it should be managed or manageable.
Absolutely. So, looking at the current state of waste management infrastructure, what crucial improvements do we need to make to support individual and collective efforts in reducing waste? Like, and also, how can technology play a role in this transformation?
I think the what you said, I think the accountability is a huge part of this, right?
Hmm.
If you can be held accountable as an individual or as a corporate or as a group organization, it doesn't matter. If you can be held accountable, I
Hmm.
think that's a huge shift in terms of getting things done.
Right.
Um, and look, it's summary of the whole conversation that we've had, right? It's systems. It's
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
systems and education. I think
Right.
because the education also needs to be changed, and the only way education gets changed is that there are data systems in place.
Hmm.
Recycling or waste is still taught the same way in school that it was taught to me when I was in school. So nothing's changed in the last 15 to 18. Sorry, let me calculate. Yeah, well, in the last 18 years that I've actually left school,
Right.
it's taught the same way to students, right?
Hmm.
Oh, you should recycle. It's the best. You should. It saves the environment. It saves this. Yeah, great. We all know this.
True.
Teach me or show me how it's done and
Yeah.
how much effort it takes for this to happen, and where then I can help to improve these conversations, right? And I think that part of the transparency and the accountability, I think that would be where I think where the next change
Hmm.
happens, right?
And I think it should be included in the curriculum as well,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes,
And as a
yes.
practical study to be implemented in schools, because I think the youth, as you said, they are very into being sustainable and they understand, I think, the problem, definitely because they have much more awareness about issues around the world.
I think they can only do so much before it
Yes,
becomes
they don't have
become
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, right. So I think this is where government initiatives come into play. This is
Hmm.
where not just initiatives around school, but initiatives around startups like us, like give them
Yes.
more visibility when it comes to getting the message across, right?
Hmm.
So I think that would be a great thing. I think from a technology perspective, there's a lot of infrastructure being built
Hmm.
around post waste, like post bin, post garbage, post. Like a lot of the infrastructure is built around the post aspect of things. Or we'll collect more and we'll
Hmm.
recycle more and we'll generate more. I think from a technology perspective, what we need to tackle is the pre.
Hmm.
And I think that's where the next boom in technology innovation is going to come in. Is I know there are bins already that are you can put a bottle in and you can get something back in return.
Hmm. Yeah. In many
Right?
malls, you see, right? You can put some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are RVMs as well, which are reverse vending machines. Like
Right.
I think in Germany, they give you cash back
Hmm.
for the bottle that you give out. I know in India, at some point, you should give those glass bottles back, and they used to give you
Oh,
cash
wow.
back as well. But
Really?
again, this was when I was younger. Like I don't remember
Yeah, yeah.
now. Used
Yeah,
to
that time I
take
think
those.
we used to have only glass bottles.
Yeah, yeah,
Our
yeah, yeah.
soft drinks or, everything was in glass bottles, and we used
In
to
glass bottles,
pay some deposit and return the bottle back. That
and
was
then
a
get
great
some.
system.
So I think this is what I'm saying. I think from a technology perspective, I think a lot of the new tech is going to be very similar to what we did at olden times, right? I think at least that's what my thought process is, right?
Hmm.
If we can replicate some of that conversations,
Yeah.
it becomes a lot easier to then make new tech that allows for these things to happen. So it could be deposit machines, it could be reverse vending machine, even though I'm not a big fan of RVMs.
Yeah, yeah.
And
True.
because you're not going to carry 50 bags every other day or 10
Exactly.
bags and then put them one by one. Again, you get lazy, right? So
Yeah.
systems,
And
but
as
it's
you
also
said,
the
you
lack
have
of
to
transparency.
close the tap sometime, right? If this is
Yeah,
going to just encourage the consumption of, the plastic or
I
the
I agree.
non-recyclable material. Yeah.
No, no, that's exactly what the thought process is, right? Is
Mm.
yeah, I think if we can, from a tech perspective, at least what we are trying to build as well in the
Mm.
future or in the near future is a conversation of how we can plug old thought processes and systems
Mm.
which allowed for us to have this return policies and then transparency of waste and so on. A lot of companies are buying back some of
Yeah.
the materials that you generate. Our aim is to incorporate or infuse tech to get that back into play, right?
Mm.
And I think that's where the next tech boom is the pre. If we can have the pre managed, the post
Mm.
is already, look, if you look at the post, by the way, like the post waste analysis, like the recycling centers, the
Yeah.
stations, uh, solutions coming up to change specific waste materials into new waste materials, it's there.
Mm.
Now what we need to do is just build the pre, and then at some point, like you said, close the tap, and then you
Yeah.
have then you have a proper conversation about, hey, look, we know what's happening, we know what's generating, and we have solutions just in case something does slip by.
Right.
We have solutions that will convert it back into products, and we're not going to use any more new materials, right? I think
True.
that's where my focus would be if I was building something again.
Lovely. So, based on your deep involvement in this space, can you suggest a simple hack for our audience to make waste management a breeze and not another chore to add to their list?
Wow, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. How would you make it into a breeze? Well, I think to make it into a breeze, I think there are three questions that you can ask yourself,
Mm,
right? Before you even get to the sorting part, before you even get to
mm,
any of this part, ask yourself three questions when you're buying something. Is do I specifically need this? Right?
mm,
And if the answer is yes, I really need this, be like, okay, cool. What am I going to do with it once I'm done with it? How many times am I going to use it, for example, right? How many times am I going to use it if I really need this? And if I'm going to use it X amount of times, awesome. That means this is great. But if I'm not going to use it that many times, is there a possibility that I could potentially get this from my friends? I think, let me simplify it actually. Let me simplify it. Not even three questions. Think how you can own less in your own journey, right? From a waste perspective, when it comes to sorting, I think, yeah, follow us and you learn more. That's all I can say. Make your life easy by following
mm.
us or me. I call out, I drop truth bombs online consistently, right? So
I
I think
love
that's the
that
best
answer.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's very true. I mean, question yourself before buying. I think that's where half of your problems are solved.
So yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Do you really need this? And if you need this, then what's the journey look like? Just a 30-second, you know, internal conversation, and you go, huh? Do I need this or no? And you, or do what I do, right? If I really want to buy something, I go for a walk. I come back the next day.
mm,
And if I really want to buy, and if I come back the next day, that means I really want it, and I will buy this. Right? If I don't come back the next day, that means I never wanted this in the first place. I guess it
absolutely.
was the need wasn't that much, so I give myself 24 hours before buying certain things. Right? That's my thought process. At least work for me.
Totally, yeah, exactly. It does work actually because at that moment you probably are attracted towards buying something, but after some time you again question, really, do I really need it? I don't think
Yeah, and then
so.
it's also the question: do I really need to go back and buy this, or do I really need
Yeah,
to go on
yeah.
Amazon
That
and spend
effort.
money?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Again, another sorry, I'll give you tidbits that I've done. So I don't have my cards on any of my platforms, right?
Okay.
So
So you
so
need to remove
so
your card and input all those details. Oh yeah, that becomes a pain, right?
that yeah, right. So you're in such a one-click world right now where
Mm.
when you have to do stuff
Apple
like
Pay.
this.
It's just the
Yeah, so
click
I have Apple
or
Pay, but
Google
I've
Pay.
blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've blocked 90% of the thing. My Apple Pay is specifically for petrol
Okay.
or whatever my daily needs are.
Needs are.
So
Yeah.
Amazon's blocked. So essentially, I have to then go and put my card in if I'm buying something
Mm.
from Amazon or Noon or anything. First time you do it, awesome. Second time you do it, awesome. Third time you do it, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like it's such
Yeah.
a headache to do this, and you're like, oh, I don't want to buy this. So I'm just gonna let it go. And that's
Exactly.
what's worked for me.
Yeah, yeah, true. I know it does work. Yeah, definitely. Lovely. Thank you so much. It was a great chat. It was very insightful. I'm sure the audience has taken away a lot from this conversation, and I'll definitely link all your the website link and the Instagram in the show notes. And I think even I'm going to start the service soon. I would
Awesome.
really love to.
Awesome.
I'm very,
Awesome.
very
Awesome.
tempted to understand my data, although I am very conscious about my waste. But as you said, unless you see the data, you don't know where
What's happening?
exactly what's
Yeah.
happening exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm going to
Awesome.
start soon. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
let's go. No, but thank you so much for this conversation. Hopefully it does add value to the listeners.
Yes. Uh,
And yeah, and then we take it from there.
Yeah, great. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's very important to be mindful of what we buy, how we consume, and how we discard. That conversation was very insightful, and it's very important in today's world, especially where we have too much to buy and too much to consume. I think more than what we need. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, again, thank you so much, Pallavi. I hopefully, like I said, hopefully gets people to change some of their thought processes.
Yes.
And if it does, then we come back again. Let me
Sure.
come back in. All
Yes,
right.
great. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pallavi.